Blog Talk Radio.
Me chairman Kanu Afuraitkaitnut Neye AKANFO NANASOM Da Medinde Odwirafo Kwesi Nehem Ptah Akhan Aakhuamuman Amaruka Atifi Mu Odwirafo ODWIRAMAN Mu. Greetings to all Afurakani Afuraitkaitnit, meaning African Black people. Today is AKANFO NANASOM Day, ancient, authentic Akhan Ancestral Religion Day. My name is Odwirafo Kwesi Nehem Ptah Akhan. Odwirafo of the Aakhuamuman Nation in North America, within ODWIRAMAN, the Purified Nation, Afurakani Afuraitkaitnit people in the Western Hemisphere. Yet I say we thank you once again for tuning into the broadcast. For the individuals who are on the phone line, if you have a question or a comment, simply hit the number 1 so that we can see that your hand is raised. If you have a question or a comment in the chat room, you must log in as a user in order to interact in the chat room. If you don't have a username, you can sign up for one quickly in Blog Talk so that you can interact. For the individuals who are new to the broadcast, we have 3 broadcasts on a weekly basis. AKANFO NANASOM, Ancient Authentic Akhan Ancestral Religion. On Joda, Monday nights, where we deal specifically with the Akhan expression of ancestral religion. On Binada, Abinada, Tuesday nights, we have Ojira, which means purification, and we deal with ancestral religion in general, no matter what form it takes, wherever our people exist in the world, on the continent, as well as in the Western Hemisphere, where we have brought our ancestral religious traditions with us in our blood circles during the Musuo Ketie, the Great Perversity, the enslavement era, empowered by our ancestral religious practices in the forms of hoodoo and juju and vodun and so forth. We waged war against the whites and their offspring and brought an end to enslavement in the Western Hemisphere, North, Central, South America, the Caribbean, and so forth. We deal with Ojira purification, which operationalizes Nanasom. It operationalizes Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnut, or African ancestral religion. So in essence, Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnut, or African ancestral religion is the ritual incorporation of divine law and the ritual restoration of divine balance. That means through ritual, we incorporate those things, objects, deeds, and entities we need to incorporate in order to harmonize our thoughts, intentions, and actions with divine order. And through ritual, we restore balance through rejecting those things, objects, deeds, and entities we need to reject, to repel, to hate, in order to restore balance to our thoughts, intentions, and actions, and thus realign ourselves with divine order. So the ritual incorporation of divine law and the ritual restoration of divine balance, these are the expansive and contractive poles of ancestral religion. And Ojira purification operationalizes Nanasom. Purification operationalizes our practice of incorporating law and restoring balance through ritual so that we can align every thought, every intention, and every action with divine order. And this is our culture, the divine acceptance or the law or love of order and the divine hate of disorder. We incorporate law and we restore balance through incorporating divine law and embracing divine hate. So this is what we deal with on Ojira purification, text from ancient Kemet, other texts from all over the continent, as well as our ritual orature here in the Western Hemisphere that we brought in our blood circles here. So showing that every thought, every intention, every action, every moment of every day is governed by our practice of ritually incorporating law and ritually restoring balance. Every moment of every day, every thought, every intention and action is thus governed by our ancestral religious practice and our values, rooted in divine order, Inyamewa, Inyame, and Sheshe, governed by Maa and Maat, and Heru Behudet and Sechima. So this is what we deal with on Binada, Abinada Tuesday nights, and on Awukuda or Afuada Wednesday nights we have Egwa Marketplace, where we have individuals who have started their businesses, organizations, or institutions rooted in our ancestral religious values who are serving the community in a positive capacity. They come onto the show and talk about their businesses, organizations, and institutions, how they are serving the community, and how their ancestral religious values inform their service to the community. So we have a number of people who have come onto the show and will be coming onto the show. We have published in that vein the Okom Economic Development Model, which is an economic development model rooted in our ancestral religious values. You can download that model from our Okom Economic Development Model page. We'll put that link in the chat room real quick. You can also download the 4-part series that we did on this model where we dissected and examined the model and showed how it impacts every aspect of our lives as Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnut people. And then in the process and part of the model is the strategy wherein we starve the beast and feed the pride. That means on a weekly basis, we make a determination regarding what funds we would have potentially wasted with the whites in their offspring, and then we starve the beast and feed the pride. We take those funds away from those white businesses and reallocate them to the business, organization, or institution of the week. And we are targeting one Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnut business, organization, or institution per week for 52 weeks as a community. This is for optimal capital infusion. So when you starve the beast and feed the pride, take the $10 or $15 you would have wasted at a white business like CVS or Walmart, 7-Eleven, Chipotle, or something like that, and take that $10 or $15 and reallocate it to the business of the week. That's a reallocation of $10 to $15. But of course, when 1,000 of our people engage that process, that is a reallocation of $10,000 to $15,000 away from white businesses directly into the business, organization, or institution of the week. That infusion of $10,000 or $15,000 of capital allows that black business in the course of 1 week to expand their services to us, hire black people within the community so that they can serve us at a greater capacity and meet our needs at a greater capacity. They can also have employment. It's a win-win situation all around. If we do not engage in this process, then by default we leave that $10,000 to $15,000 in the hands of our absolute enemies, the whites and their offspring. And they support themselves, their families, their lifestyle, and their continuous oppression of our community. We are financing our own oppression when we do not starve the beast and feed the pride every single day. So this is what we deal with on Okom Economic Development Model and the Egua Marketplace Show. So, and also an announcement we have coming up, and you will see on our page, and we're going to put that link in the chat room right here, the AKYISAN page on our website. Coming up this March 19th, we will be having our AKYISAN Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit Ancestral Religious Reversion Conference here in Washington, D.C. This is a private event open to Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people only. Of course, it is a free event. We will have a number of presenters dealing with different aspects of Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit Ancestral religion, pure, authentic perspective, born of the blood circles of our direct blood ancestresses and ancestors, right from where we stand in this region of Asase Afua, the Earth Mother, and this relationship, of course, to Ama Ancestral nation building and restoration. So the speakers list is growing. When you go to the AKYISAN page, you'll see that information. Of course, it's a free event for our people. It's an all-day event. We are also publishing an AKYISAN Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit Ancestral Religious Reversion journal, a book for the conference. This book will be given away for free to everyone who attends the conference, just as we did with our Hoodoo Nation Festival back in October, which was our first annual Hoodoo Nation Festival. We published the book Hoodoo Mind specifically for the occasion, and of course now it's also a free ebook download, and you can also order the softcover version for $8 on the website. We gave that book out to everyone who attended the event. We will be doing the same with the AKYISAN conference. We'll be publishing a journal for that, articles on ancestral religious culture, practice, ritual, and so forth from an authentic perspective, one of the blood circles of our people. A number of different articles dealing with that, but also have a business directory, an Egua marketplace directory for all of the vendors who will be there, as well as other individuals who would like to place ads in the journal. If you would like to place an ad for your business, organization, institution, study group, or if you would just like to support the work that we are doing, you can place an ad. When you see the AKYISAN page, you will see the rates for the ads. It's a full color journal, 8.5 by 11 large magazine size journal. We print in-house on our own printers in color. So your ads will be in color and so forth. You can just send us a JPEG file. A 1/4 page ad is $25. A half page ad is $35, and a full page ad is $50. This journal will not only be given away for free, but it will also, ebook version will be online for free as well, a free download, so you will have literally millions of people checking out the journal online. So if you'd like to post your business, organization, institution, or just supporting, you can do that. We also have space for vendors. We will have an Egua marketplace, of course, with tables for vendors, $30. We provide 1 6-foot table with 2 chairs. So that vending space for the entire day is $30. So you can go and download the vendor application, registration application right there on the AKYISAN site, and continue to check that site. And we also have a Facebook page for the AKYISAN conference, because we will be continuously updating the information with the speakers. We have 4 presenters so far, including we will be doing a presentation on AKANFO NANASOM, Ancient Authentic Akhan Ancestral Religion. We have 3 other speakers so far. We will have about between 7 or 8 on that particular day. So continue to check out the page as well as the AKYISAN page on Facebook. All right, so we're going to put a couple of links in the chat room for the information we'll be dealing with tonight. So first link we posted, the Maat and Judgment, that note, that article that we published a couple of days ago. And also we'll put a link for the Ptah SASETEM, which is our curriculum, the Ptah SASETEM curriculum. We'll put a link for that. And we'll get into some more information as well. So give me 1 second as we post this information. And again, if you have a question or a comment, hit the number 1 on the phone line so we can see that your hand is raised. And if you would like to interact in the chat room, you must log in as a user in order to interact in the chat room. If you don't have a username, you can sign up for one quickly in Blog Talk. Okay, so we put that link in there. We'll also put a link in the chat room to the OBARIMA Afurakani Manhood book. So when you see that, that's the direct link to the PDF version of that book, as well as the PDF version of the Ptah SASETEM. And this is what we're going to get into. All right. So we're just finishing that up. If you look in the Ptah SASETEM link and you look on the page, actually page 36, the She and Shebia section, and then it goes into page 37 as well. And once you download that, the Ptah SASETEM, those who are on the phone line, you go to the Ptah SASETEM page on our website. And you notice when we published the note, Maat and Judgment the other day. Posted it on Facebook, of course, and posted it on our website. And we mentioned that proper judgment is the hallmark of maturity. This is our ancestral culture. This is our ancestrally inherited wisdom. Proper judgment is the hallmark of maturity. So we go into some detail about that in our publication, the Ptah SASETEM. Now, the Ptah SASETEM is a curriculum created for adults who are of Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit, or African Black heritage, to utilize in the education of themselves, their peers, and the instruction of Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit children and young adults. So it's a 7-module system. It's a curriculum that we created 7 modules designed to be implemented in 7 40-minute sessions, whether you're having a 7-week program or a 7-day program, or whenever you connect with youth, children, young adults, as well as can use for that. 7-module system. The 7 different modules are dealing with ancestral culture and how to incorporate ancestral culture into every aspect of life. So the 7 modules we'll go through quickly, but we want to get to number 7 because this is where we're dealing with what we're talking about tonight. The first module of the system is Okradin, which is Afuraitkaitnut, the value of identity. So we talk about the nature of the Kradin, the soul name, and our collective Kradin, the origin of the term Afuraitkaitnut. Of course, Africa comes from Afuraka. Ka means raised land, male. Ka'et, raised land, female. The first primordial mound that rose up out of the primordial ocean at the beginning of creation, forced up by Ra and Ra'et as they moved within the primordial earth to cause volcanic eruptions on the ocean floor, and a portion of that ocean floor is forced up above the surface of the water, and that raised land is called Ka, male, Ka'et, female. And Ra and Ra'et, the creator and creatress, move and expand and contract within matter. They are called Afu, Ra, and Afu, Ra'et. Afu means flesh, but it also means house or place of residence. Ra is moving through matter, just like the spirit moving through your body through spirit possession. When the spirit enters the body, it is taken on flesh. It is moving through matter. It's moving through the Afu, and the matter or the flesh becomes the house of the spirit. So Ra is called Afu Ra. When Ra is sailing across the sky in the boat of the Aten, the sun, he has the form of a hawk-headed divinity, an aerial animal, avian animal. But when the boat of the Aten or sun sets in the west, and then it goes into the 12 hours of the night in the so-called underworld, he takes on the form of a flat-formed ram, a land animal. He goes from being Ra when he's sailing across the sky to Afu Ra when he's moving in matter, moving in the house, the flesh, Afu. So it's called Afu Ra. When Ra and Ra'et are moving through matter, they're called Afu Ra and Afu Ra'et. They move to the first Ka, the first Ka'et, the first raised land, the first landmass of earth. The landmass of earth becomes the Ka of Afura, or Afuraka, the land of the creator. The Ka'et of Afurait, the land of the creatress. And the bodies of our first ancestresses and ancestors were fashioned from that primordial mound. So we are Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people. Afurakani becomes Afurakan, Afurakan, African, African, and so forth. That is a corruption of the ancient term. So we get into that in that first module, dealing with the value of identity. The second module is Abosom, melanin, the value of physiology. So we teach the youth about melanin, a 7-part definition of melanin. Not only the fact that it gives us our skin color, hair color, and so forth, but it's in all of our major organs and systems. It's in plant life, animal life, mineral life, the oceans, rivers, sun. The black substance of space is cosmic melanin. That plasma is cosmic melanin from which our melanin derives. It's in the sun, it's in the clouds, every aspect of nature that is natural. Abosom, the melanin within. We also talk about how it, just like plants photosynthesize sunlight and transform sunlight into food or energy for the cells of the plants to feed upon. Abosom, melanin, transforms sun, food, or energy for the body's cells, and does the same thing with sound waves. In music, sound waves, sound vibrations are transformed into food or energy for the body's cells to feed on because of melanin and so forth. It's always also a healer and a protector. It's the basis of you seeing a natural Band-Aid forming on your body, a so-called scab. When you get cut, it's protecting the body, helping to heal the body, and so forth. So we go into detail about all of that. It has electromagnetic properties. We deal with that in that module. In the Maat and Judgment, divine law and hate, the value of function as mission. We talk about the nature of our function, our purpose, individually as Afuraitkaitnit people in the world, in relationship also to the larger Afuraitkaitnit. Just like every cell in the body has a specific function based on the organ within which it functions as a component part, the organ or organ system. We are cells within the great divine body of the Supreme Being, Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people, and we have a function based on the organ or organ system of which we are a part. The specific divinity, Abosom, Orisha, Vodou, that governs us within the great divine body of Amenet, Amen, the great mother and great father. We have a specific function to execute in creation. So we deal with that. Nyan Sapo is the 7-part decision-making process based on the 7 days of the week and the energy that governs the 7 days of the week, the Abosom, the forces in nature that govern the 7 days of the week, because they animate the solar, lunar, and planetary bodies which govern the 7 days of the week. We have a holistic decision-making process rooted in that divine structure. So we go into detail about that. The Odwirafo section, ethical life, the value of good character. We talk about ethics and our culture. We use the Adinkra symbolism within Akhan culture, dealing with 7 principal values, ethical values, rooted again in that 7-fold structure of the 7 days of the week and the Abosom that govern our natural cycles. Those 7 days of the week governed by the solar, lunar, and planetary bodies, which are animated by forces in nature. And then we have the Asetier, responsibility, the value of expression. So we're talking about responsibility, 7 principal values of responsibility as young people as well as adults. We deal with that in detail. And then the Shebia section, She and Shebia section, the final module of this 7-part curriculum, deals with tools, the value of execution. And this is a section wherein we're going to talk about specifically a specific aspect of that section tonight. Now, of course, the Ptah SASETEM curriculum has been used and continues to be used all over the country in different people working in charter schools or working with youth, working with after-school programs, therapeutic foster care, various different expressions. Wherever people have been working with youth as well as adults, they have taken our work, taken this curriculum, and implemented this curriculum with them. We have the book, which is a manual. It also has a lesson plan. We also have a training video, 2.5-hour, 2-hour, 20-minute training video right there on the website. You can download the book for free. You can look at the 2-hour, 20-minute training video, and then we also have an additional broadcast that we did on Blog Talk Radio where you can listen to that as well, where we go through the entire process of how to implement this curriculum. And once you go through that process and you have the book there as well, you can implement this curriculum wherever you are, whether it's a home school, whether it's a regular, conventional school, private school, after-school program, summer program, probation program, work release program, whoever you are working with, you can implement this curriculum. And we've released this in 13,005, so-called 2005. Of course, we do not track years based on a fictional cartoon character who never existed. This is 13,016, which began in September, on September 23rd. That was the first day of 13,016. Of course, we do not say Happy New Year in the middle of the iciest, darkest, coldest time of the year. It's a caveman, glacial New Year. We begin at the autumn equinox. So this is 13,016, but we released the Ptah SASETEM in 13,005. So in the section Shebia, which is the terms She and Shebia in the Akhan language, as well as in the language of ancient Kemet, describes the male and female aspects of the capacity within Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people and the individual to execute his or her his or her divine function, the function they came into the world to execute. Inyamewa and Inyame, the Akhan term for Amenet and Amen, the great mother and the great father, who work together to comprise the supreme being. They give each one of us as Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people, and Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people only function to execute in the world, as we said, just like cells within the great divine body. That's what we are. And they give the individual, gives us tools, spiritual energy, capacity, the She and Shebia necessary to execute that divine function. So you're given a blueprint on how you have to function in creation. What kind of cell in the body are you? Are you an excretory cell like in the renal system? The kidneys and the ureter and the bladder and so forth, that's an excretory system. It regulates fluid balance within the body, regulates mineral balance within the body, excretes toxins. So people who are part of the excretory system within the great divine body are children of Nebet Het, for example, Akua, Akberu, as they're called in Akhan in Yoruba, Koni Koni in Vodun, natural healers, healeresses, and so forth, excretory toxins, bringing back balance, fluid balance, mineral balance within the body of the community, so they're naturally inclined towards those kinds of behaviors, those kinds of activities, naturally inclined towards healing and so forth. If you're an immune system cell within the great divine body, you're naturally inclined towards immune system functions, military functions, protecting the body, protecting the community, and so forth. That is your function, your unkra, your unkrabu. When you're given that function by the Supreme Being to execute a specific function in the body, you're also given a specific configuration of energy that's necessary to execute that function, that has the capacity to allow you to execute that function. You're not just given a function, you're given the kind of energy you need in order to fulfill that function on a consistent basis. So if you need fiery energy to execute that kind of function, you're given that kind of fiery energy. The person will have a fiery temper. If you need that cool, healing energy, then the person will manifest a cool, healing, energetic kind of temperament, and they have that kind of energy to heal in that sense. Then people can also heal through fire as well, burning up toxins, burning up criminals, and so forth. So depending on what kind of function you are given, Nkra and Krabia, you're also given the tools, the Shebia, the specific configuration of energy necessary to execute that function. So in this module, it's called She and Shebia. With respect to our cultural reclamation, Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut, African Black people must utilize certain fundamental tools which allow us to fully embrace our culture once again, thus regaining our normalcy. We must employ our She and Shebia. So we go through these specific tools that we must incorporate into our lives in order to execute our functions properly. We must incorporate trustery. Trustery, not history. Trustery teaches, it guides, it nourishes, and heals, and we deal with that in some detail. Religion, ancestral religion, the ritual incorporation of divine law, and the ritual restoration of divine balance. Ancestral religion, Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit, ancestral religion is the only religion that has ever existed and ever will exist. Religion and spirituality is identical. Faith religion is not identical with spirituality. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hebrewism, Morishism, extraterrestrialism, pseudo-esotericism, pseudo-occultism, Vedanta, Buddhism, all of this nonsense, pseudo-Native Americanism, none of these are religions. They're not forms of spirituality. They are corrupted fragments with manufactured cartoon character deities like Allah, Muhammad, and Yahweh, and Brahman and Buddha, Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, Solomon, Sheba, Menelik, Moses, Aaron, Jacob, Esau, all of these characters, Jesus, Yeshua ben Pandera, fictional cartoon characters who never existed in any race or in any form whatsoever. There were no ancient Hebrews, none of that nonsense. And we deal with that in detail in the Kukutum. So when we deal with ancestral religion, for real, as we said earlier, it's the ritual incorporation of divine law and the ritual restoration of divine balance. Ancestral religion is the ritual explication of truth. So we deal with that in some detail. But then we get to this notion of judgment. Judgment is wise, yet misjudgment is that which is unwise. Maturity, proper judgment is the foundation of maturity. Proper judgment is the hallmark of maturity. So, we say judgment is an expression of wisdom. Non-judgment as well as misjudgment are expressions of ignorance. Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut, African Black people have proper judgment is the basis of the security of a sovereign nation and the preservation of a balanced society. The whites and their offspring have attempted through pseudo-religion to teach us to, quote-unquote, don't judge. They understand that if we were to apply proper judgment to them, we would embrace the divine mandate to reject them outright and permanently. This will mean their loss of control over us and ultimate eradication. When you embrace divine order, that means you embrace the expansive and contractive poles of divine order, which means you embrace Maranechi, divine law, love, and divine hate. So you incorporate that which is harmonious so that you can execute your function in creation, and you reject, you repel, you hate objects, deeds, and entities you need to reject, to repel, to hate, to repulse in order to maintain the integrity of the order. Just like you incorporate things through your breath, inspiration, through consuming food and so forth, into your bloodstream, then your immune and lymphatic system hates or rejects or repels or kills those cancerous cells and toxins that would otherwise create disease within you. So you incorporate that which you need, and you kill and eradicate that which you don't need, and that is divine order. Divine hate is the contractive pole of divine order. Hate is divine. There are deities, male and female, of divine hate. That's Heru, Bahudet, and Sechima, or Benna and Abedna and Akhan. The male and female forces of divine law, and law and love is the same word in reality. Divine law are all the male divinity, and Maat, the female divinity. When we embrace divine order, we're embracing divine law, love, and divine hate. And therefore, the whites and their offspring do not want us to engage in proper judgment. Because when you engage in proper judgment, that means you're aligning with divine order. That means you're aligning with divine law, love, and divine hate. That means you incorporate what you need, and you hate or reject, destroy, eliminate, eradicate, exterminate those who you don't need. And that's divine. So that's why they teach that hate is wrong, hate is evil, hate is a lower level of energy, all that stupidity. And some of our people repeat that nonsense because they're cowards just on a fundamental level. They do not want to confront the criminal. So they seek some pseudo-intellectual rationale to not confront our enemies. They fear hate. That they don't want their immune system to shut down. They don't want their lymphatic system to shut down. These are the hate vehicles within your body. They are constantly seeking out those criminal entities within the body to kill them so that they can maintain the integrity of the body. So this is why the crackers teach, do not judge. Proper judgment is the hallmark of maturity. And as we said, is the foundation and basis of the security of a sovereign nation and the preservation of a balanced society. So when we call ourselves ODWIRAMAN, Jira in ancient Kemet meaning pure, purified, mind meaning nation, group, people, but also the land of the setting sun, the west. So ODWIRAMAN means the purified, Jira, mind, nation in the west, the land of the setting sun, mind. ODWIRAMAN means the purified nation of Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people in the west, the extreme west, which is the Western Hemisphere. So this is our collective title for our people in the Western Hemisphere, those who were forced out of the continent during the Kwesi, the great perversity and the enslavement era, but we have purified ourselves, resurrected, just like Asar, purified ourselves and restored ourselves to rulership, just like Aset, so that we can move forward and restore our nation. Purified nation, not criminal nation, not a raggedy, tattered, weak, beaten down nation, but a purified nation. The purified nation, Jira, when you see All-Star wrapped in bandages, he has purified himself. He's brought all of the various disparate elements back together. They have been united and fused back together, and then he's given the eye of Heru so he can have that insight. He is resurrected, revivified, and now he can function as a divinity in nature, in creation, wielding great power that is dispensed to him by Ra and Ra'et. This is the same with our people who were destroyed on the surface. Just like Al-Sar is thrown into a coffin, we are thrown into coffins and sent across the waters, and the body was cut up, the great black body was cut up, just like Al-Sar's body was cut up and scattered in different places. But then we were reconstituted. We purified ourselves and began to mummify ourselves so we become impervious to decay. Pure, clean, restored, and then resurrected. So no worms can penetrate, no maggots can penetrate, and so forth. We're pure, clean, resurrected, restored, purified, and now we're given the eye of Heru. And that eye of Heru revivifies us and gives us proper insight and therefore proper judgment, and that's the foundation and the basis for the security of a sovereign nation. So this is what we're dealing with. When we engage our time with the method of making decisions, we arrive at proper judgment. And we talk about that Nyansapo 7-stage decision-making process that we teach in the fourth module of this curriculum. We should be judging everyone and everything in order that we may live and interact in the world in harmony with our Nkrapi. When we come to this realization and put the principles of judgment into practice, only then have we gained maturity. As long as we refuse to make judgment, we remain gullible and immature. Proper judgment is the hallmark of maturity. If you're not judging everything and everyone, every moment of every day, you are immature, ignorant child, a misguided, immature, ignorant child, because even older children recognize they must make assessments and then make decisions based on sound and proper judgment, so they do not create situations that are harmful or injurious to them or those who are connected to them. So even children begin to recognize that proper judgment, sound judgment, is the hallmark of maturity and the security of themselves and their surroundings and those connected to them. So if you do not make judgments, you are an immature, ignorant child. And that's why the whites and offspring teachers do not judge. They want you to be immature, ignorant children and accept all and reject none. That is not our culture. We embrace divine law, love, and divine hate. The acceptance of order and the rejection, the hate, repulsion of disorder and its purveyor in the community and outside the community. We also talk about revolution and resolution, two halves of the whole called Nyansa, or wisdom. Revolution and resolution as a tool of cultural reorientation is defined as the right of return and the right of reconstitution. In practice, it is also the right, R-I-T-E, or ritual right of return, and the right, R-I-T-E, or ritual right of reconstitution. The return is to our ancestral culture, our way of living, our normalcy. It is returned to the pact we made with Inyamewa, Aminet, Amen, before we came into the world, and a reconstitution of the cultural values and institutions rooted in those values which make our adhering to that divine pact possible. We have a right to return to ourselves and to reconstitute ourselves. After having been disbanded and dismembered, we have a right to return to ourselves spiritually and culturally and a right to reconstitute ourselves. We must engage in the rite, meaning rituals, in order to return to ourselves and to reconstitute ourselves in harmony with divine order. That is the domain of ancestral religion. We have thus recognized disorder and moved to reject it, thus manifesting intelligence in the true sense. And this is why we say when Earth moves around sun and returns to its place of origin, it is made a complete revolution. Return to your ancestral origin is complete revolution. When Earth, through revolution, transmits its power through the seasons, wielding that power as it revolves around its axis, wielding and transmitting that power. When Earth, through revolution, transmits its power through the seasons, it has brought about a complete resolution. Transmit power through the cycles of revolution brings about our complete resolution. Revolution and resolution are two halves of one whole, which is intelligence. Divine wisdom is composed of revolution and resolution, and it's governed by Suhuti, the male force of divine wisdom, revolution, and Seshat, the female force of divine wisdom, resolution. They are the governor and governess of the poles of wisdom, revolution and resolution. And we deal with that in detail in our book, Maat and Judgment, Divine Law, Love, and Divine Hate, in part 3. So, with that foundation with regard to these tools the energetic capacity we have been given to execute our function in the world. Each one of us is Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people, just like plant life, animal life, and mineral life. We are cells within the great divine body of the Supreme Being. Of course, the whites and their offspring, white Europeans, white Americans, white Asians, white Hindus, white Arabs, white pseudo-Native Americans, Hispanics, white Latinos, all non-black people are not cells within the great divine body. They are cancerous cells that have developed, degenerated within the great divine body. They have a temporal existence. It's like a cancerous cell developing within your liver has a temporal existence. It's become disfigured and no longer functions like the others, so it is slated for destruction by the immune system and lymphatic systems. It is destroyed and then expelled from the body. The whites and offspring do not have a divine function. They have degenerated. They are a manifestation of that degeneration and are slated for eradication. And that is a divine response to cancerous cells. But we are natural, healthy cells within the great divine body, created entities with a capital C. Divinely created entities within the great divine body. We have a function to execute, but we are given a spiritual configuration of energy that's unique to us to execute that function. It manifests in our natural inclinations towards certain kinds of thoughts, intentions, actions, behaviors, activities, and a disinclination from certain kinds of thoughts, intentions, actions, sets of activities, and behaviors. It's wired within us. And when we look deeply within our culture and attune to the forces that govern us, the Abosom that govern us, we will find out why we have these specific inclinations and how to awaken that power that we have been given so we can execute our function fully through proper judgment. So we get to our note that we published on Maa and Maat. We'll put the link back in the chat room real quick. So first of all, we have an image of the Abosom, the deity, the Toro, misnomer Neter, but the Toro Ma'a, the male divinity Ma'a, and the Toro, so-called Neter, or the Toro, female divinity Maat. Maa and Maat, the male and female forces of divine balance, who we communicate with, who we pour libation to, who we speak to, and they speak to us through divination, who possess our people. We're not talking about something abstract. Negroes who follow the whites and their offspring and worship the whites and their offspring think the deities are simply principles and anthropomorphized symbols of energy or explanations for different functions in the natural world. These are Negroes who worship the whites and their offspring. We're talking about real information, slave information, real information. Ma'a is a divinity, a force in nature that we communicate with. He shows himself, he possesses to communicate. Ma'at is a female divinity who communicates with us, we communicate with her. She possesses, she communicates, she speaks through divination and so forth. These are forces in nature that are connected to our blood circles. It's Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people, and they exist in the various traditions. We did a broadcast, Ntoro, God Ma'a, and his relationship to the Ntoro, goddess Ma'at. We talked about the nature of the divinity Ma'a because most people don't know about him. We show how he manifests in the Akhan tradition, in the Yoruba tradition, in Vodun, and so forth. So we went into detail about that. So we first show images of them. Many people have seen images of Ma'at. Many have not seen an image of the deity Ma'a. So he's standing there, and of course his name is written in the Medutu right next to him. Then we show entry from a hieroglyphic dictionary just to show the different ways that the names are spelled in the Medutu. Variation, many of them are very simple. Ma'a, of course, is the male force of divine law and balance. Ma'at is the female force of divine law and balance. And of course, that implies and infers truth, uprightness, justice, and so forth. Because of her function in creation. It's not abstract. Because of the way she functions in creation and he functions in creation, it manifests that truth or just righteousness and so forth. Truth and balance. When you have, for example, something on one scale and it balances something else out, there's an equilibrium. There's a balance there. There's uprightness there and so forth. So It's an expression of their functioning in creation. It's a standard upon which things can be measured. What is true, what is false. When we deal with that, what is true and what's false, and justice and so forth. The major symbol of Maa and Maat. We must understand why these symbols are used. The major symbol of Maa and Maat is that of the sickle. And when you look at the sickle, we show that specific sickle. People have seen that. What is that sickle? It's a farming tool used to cut. So when you see the individual in the papyri, in the shaftu, and he has the sickle in his hand and that same sickle of Maa and Maat, he's grabbing the grain and he's cutting the stalks and so forth. Farming tool, it is a symbol of cutting, separating, distinguishing, discerning between what is needed, that which is true, what is needed, and what is not needed, that which is false. That which can nourish is harvested. That which is needed is harvested. That which is true, which will bring you balance, is harvested. That which is toxic is disregarded. That which is false is disregarded. That which would otherwise cause you digestive problems and is not nourishing is disregarded. This is why Ma'a as a tool, not just a farming tool, it is also used as a weapon and also means to slay, to see, to inspect, to examine, and therefore truth, righteousness, justice, uprightness. It is rooted in the reality that divine order is composed of Ma'a Hina Chi, divine law, love, and divine hate. And Akhan, that's Mara Ne Chi. We accept, incorporate order, and reject, hate, repel, disorder. The ab, or the heart, is balanced against the feather of Ma'at daily, not just after death. When we did our broadcast, the 42 enunciations of Ma'at, what we're talking about is not just a list of principles. It's not just a list of commandments. This is where the whites and their offspring stole the so-called 10 Commandments from. But it's not just a list of 42 commandments or 42 laws. So when you listen to our broadcast and when you look in our book, which we read from, Koko Ball, dissexuality, homosexuality was never accepted in ancient command, the divine prohibition against dissexuality. And we read from the specific text, and we publish this in our book, Koko Ball. When we're talking about the 42 enunciations of Ma'at, it's because in the hall of Ma'ati, the double hall of Ma'at, dealing with Ma'a and Ma'at in reality, that's why it's a double hall in reality. When you go before, in that hall of judgment, you go before 42 Abosom, 42 divinities. And you go before each divinity and invoke each one of these divinities. Engage in ritual practice to invoke the energy of that Abosom to communicate directly with them, and they communicate directly with you. So every invocation is an invocation to one of these divinities, and you fuse your energy with theirs, you align with them, and when you make the statement, I have not done this and I have not done that, first you invoke them by name and you incorporate their energy. Then you say, I have not done this, I have not done that, which is out of harmony with that specific deity's energy and functioning creation. When you make that statement after you have invoked them, if your energy is in alignment with that reality, then you will be able to move to the next divinity because it's true. If you were lying, of course, then the energy emanating from your spirit will not be in harmony with that because you will have some deficit within your energetic body, your spirit body, and you will be repelled by that force of nature. No different than if you go up to somebody in your space today and lie about something and you get caught, then they want you to get out of their face, get out of their presence. They repel you. And if you stay in their presence, they may swing on you. They may force you out of their presence. It's no different than putting two magnets together and changing polarities on the table. When you place them near one another and the light polarities are facing, they repel. When you get out of harmony with order, you make yourself repulsive to the forces in nature. You try to send your prayers and invocations to them, they are repelled. You're repelled because you're out of harmony with order. You're engaged in lust and malice. You make yourself repulsive, and therefore you cannot be possessed by the Abosom. You cannot receive their direction. You make yourself repulsive, and now the only spirits you can incorporate or interact with are perverse, disordered spirits, just like you have become. And those are the only ones you can interface with. So when you go before these 42 divinities, just like you did when you were on earth, just like we go to someone's house and they have a shrine in their house for an Abosom, an Orisha, a Vodou, and you go before the shrine and salute the shrine. You salute Nana Awusi, you salute Nana Ya, you salute Nana Benna, you salute Nana Abena, you salute Ameminiwa, you salute Afi, or Akua, or Awuku, or Yao, or Ya Abba, you salute Ajo, Ajua, Esi, and so forth, or you salute Obatala, you salute Eshu, you salute Koni Koni, you salute Da, Ida Huedo, and so forth at different shrines in someone's house. You go to one shrine, you do your salutation. If you were engaged in perversity, if you were just engaged in some criminal act and you tried to go before the shrine and tried to salute them, you would feel a blowback of energy, and you would also feel some repulsion and some other things taking place in your life that would be negative. You would create disturbances within your field of energy, and therefore you would suffer in some way. It will come spiritually as well as physically through the agency of some person in the physical body. So you don't go before shrines when you're engaged in criminality and disorder and so forth. And people know that, and they fear going before shrines. This is why people have swearing ceremonies in front. For example, in the Yoruba tradition, they go to the shrine of Ogun, and if they're going to swear an oath, or swear that they're telling the truth. Or just like people swear in court, they swear before that shrine. And the same thing in the Akhan tradition. Given certain herbs or going before a specific shrine, if you say you're not guilty, we'll go before this shrine and claim that you're not guilty before this Abosom. Because they know this Abosom is known for killing people if they lie. So if they're brought before this shrine and they've been maintaining a certain position all along, when they get before that shrine, they know that shrine is known for killing people. People end up dying of all kinds of diseases and injuries as soon as they lie before the shrine. The spirit possesses and kills them. They fear that, and they will not swear if they're lying before that shrine. They will step back and change their position. In the same fashion, just like we go before these shrines on a regular basis throughout the course of our lives in our homes and in the homes of family and friends and so forth, when we make our transition, we go before these same 42 divinities we had been invoking when we were here. And we show that we live our lives in harmony with them. We invoke them. That's the expansive aspect, and the contractive is we show we have not gotten out of harmony or functioned out of harmony with their energy. If it is true, then we can move to the next divinity and be accepted before Asar, because our heart will balance out the feather. If we are lying, then our heart literally becomes too heavy to balance out the feather. When you're lying and your heart becomes heavy, literally you feel your heart sink and so forth, the balance of the scales has been tipped. It doesn't balance out the feather anymore. Now you are set up to be consumed by the divinity Amu. That means you are repelled by the forces in nature, and the only individuals you can deal with are those criminal types, as well as those who will punish you physically as well as spiritually. So when we're talking about the 42 enunciations of Ma'at in that broadcast, this is what we're dealing with. The heart is balanced out against the feather on a daily basis, not just after death, but on a daily basis. Every time you go before somebody and you try to step outside of harmony with Ma'a and Ma'at, and you begin to lie, then you make yourself repulsive to the deities, and they separate from you. Now the only influences you have are discarnate, perverse kinds of spirits and other individuals who are just as perverse as you, as well as those who are ignorant of your lies until they are exposed. So, daily, on a regular basis, we are at that scale on a regular basis. Every time you make a statement, every time you make and state something as a truism, you place your heart upon the scale at that moment. And this is why we have Amun, sitting by the scales, waiting to see if you're going to lie, waiting to see if she needs to consume you and expose you. If you're telling the truth, then Tahuti adjudges that, he takes note of that, the divine scribe, and then you can go before Alsar, Aset, and Nebuchadnezzar and live in harmony in the ancestral realm, as well as the realm of the Abosom. And in life, that's after death, but in life, that means you can live in harmony and receive the energy and direction and guidance of the Abosom and the NHOMA for the deities and ancestral spirits connected to your direct blood circle. So, this is why we say illumination of Maa and Maat, truth, is never negative. It is always orderly. Then we say the ancestral texts speak for themselves. So we show the papyrus, for example, the Shepdu of Nak, as well as Ani and so forth. We're showing them with the sickle of Ma'at, separating, cutting the stalk, reaping the grain. So you see truth, integrity, uprightness, justice, and so forth for Ma'at. But then you also see up under that, to give, to present, to offer, to make an obligatory or statutory offering, and offering a sacrifice in general. How are you making a sacrifice? Why does Ma'at also mean a sacrifice? What are you sacrificing? When you go before these 42 Abosom, or when you go before these shrines, or when you go pour libation at your ancestral shrine and pour libation for the Abosom, the Orisha, Vodou, and so forth, who are connected to your blood circle, who are assigned to you before you even came into the womb. So you came into the world assigned to specific Abosom. The deity that dwells in your head region is an Abosom, is an Orisha, Vodou, your Kra, your Kraba, your Ori Inu, and so forth. When you seek direction from them, seek assistance from the Abosom connected to your blood circle. Seek assistance from the Nananom Unsmafu, your spiritually cultivated ancestresses and ancestors. When you seek their assistance, seek their energy to help you get through a perceived obstacle or a real obstacle and so forth, you go before them and invoke them. When you invoke them, you open yourself up to them. You avail your energy to them. Through that invocation, you are showing yourself and revealing yourself to them. If you are out of order, then you will be repulsed. You have shown yourself. But if you are in harmony with order, you are giving of yourself, you're opening yourself, and the only thing that you're giving is your pure energy, because you're not out of order. You're not controlled by lust or malice and so forth. So what you're projecting towards them, when you're evoking them, when you're projecting prayers, sound vibrations, projecting your energy, that is a giving, that is a sacrifice, that is an offering, that is a present, and so forth, just by virtue of the fact that you're giving offerings and you're speaking, praying, chanting, sending your energy. That's what you're giving. If it's perverse, then they will repel it, and you won't receive any assistance. If it is sincere, it doesn't mean you're 100% perfect, but if you are sincere and trying to align with order, then that projection of energy governed by that sincerity, that truth, that verity, that uprightness, and so forth, that balance, then they will receive that offering you just gave them. So your ma'al means offering, to offer, an offering, a sacrifice. Of course, it also means truth of what and descriptive of what we're talking about. But it also means to kill, to slay. Why does ma'al mean an offering, but it also means to kill or to slay? And why haven't people been teaching that ma'al means to kill or to slay? We talked about proper judgment being the hallmark of maturity. When you make judgment, you separate that which is criminal or false from that which is true. You cut off what is false, you destroy what is false, and those who are liars, and you embrace those who are telling the truth, and you embrace the truth. So there's a separation. That's a cutting. This is why the sickle is used for divine law. Why would somebody use a sickle, a farming tool, but also a weapon to represent divine law? Why is that not being taught? Because many of our people are simply repeating the misinformation of the whites and their offspring. If you look at that sickle that they use to reap, you've seen that sickle before. The only time you've ever seen that sickle before, if you're not engaged in farming, is it's been stolen by the whites and their offspring. And they popularized it in a negative fashion because that sickle is used to reap. So therefore, they say the Grim Reaper is coming, and they have someone at the head of a skeleton in a dark hoodie, and they have that sickle in their hand, and the Reaper is coming to take somebody's head off. The root of it is actually accurate because Ma'at does mean to cut, to slay, to kill, to separate, to discern, to delineate, to distinguish. That's what we're dealing with. But we're talking about separating truth from falsehood. What is real, what is false, what is genuine, what is right, what is upright, what is righteous, what is veritable, what is true, from what is criminal and perverse and disorder and discordant. So we take that sickle and separate those things. We cut into the criminality and cut into the criminal. So we can separate ourselves and separate our people from our enemies. That's the external threat, and the criminal Negroes within the community, which are the internal threat. And destroy both accordingly, neutralize both accordingly. So this is why the next term, Ma'ah, means to examine, to see, to inspect, to perceive, to look at. So you have the sickle once again, and then you have the symbol of the eye. Why is the sickle above the symbol of the eye? Because when you're viewing things, and if you're like a child and you're not discerning, you're not making proper judgment, you're not making a separation between what is being said and what is being done and so forth, you're just looking at things and accepting them for face value, even if it's a lie. But if you have that sickle and you can cut away, you can cut or slay, discern, distinguish between what is true, what is false, and so forth, you're discerning, you're delineating, you're separating, you're cutting, you're distinguishing. You can see and you have insight now. You're like Asar, who has become resurrected. He's purified himself. He's been given the eye of Heru, which revivifies him, and now he becomes the divinity who rules in the spirit realm in sovereignty while Heru rules on the throne on earth. That eye of Heru revivifies and gives him that divine insight so you can see the truth, see what's real. You can cut through the bull and get to the real. That's why the sickle is above the eye, meaning ma'ah, meaning to see, to examine. Even the priests and priestesses are called ma'ao, the seer, those who are clairvoyant, those who can see the spirit, see the abosom, see the nananom, and so forth, see what's true, see what's going on with the person, see what negative spirits are hanging around the person, and can inform. They can examine, they can expect, they can perceive, to look at. That's why ma'ao means a seer, a watcher. He who keeps lookout on a fort, a seer, a watcher. So this is what we're talking about. They can see what's real, and therefore when you can see what's real, you can separate the criminal from the upright person, separate the lies from the truth. The name of the baboon deity sitting upon the balance of the scale is Up-Ma'ah, the judge Ma'ah. He's the judge of Ma'ah, but he's also Ma'ah. And in certain respects, depending on, sometimes you'll see Ma'at herself on the scales of the balance, not only in the pan with the feather of Ma'at, but you'll see her herself sitting inside the pan. Sometimes you'll see her on top of the scales, right in the equilibrium point. But then sometimes you will see this baboon. In many cases, this is Ma'ah himself. Ma'al, the male divinity, and then Ma'at is the female divinity. And we talked about that in our broadcast. So this is Judge Ma'al, literally, Up Ma'al. Up means judge in ancient Kemet. Up Ma'al means the judge of Ma'al, but Judge Ma'al, meaning judgment and Ma'al is directly connected. Truth is connected to judgment. We should be judging everyone and everything every moment of every day. That's the hallmark of maturity. So this is why we say those who bring forth Ma'ah, Ma'at, truth, often do so at a sacrifice, Ma'at, because the term Ma'at also means sacrifice, because they seek to discern, see, inspect, examine, which is also a definition of Ma'at, to determine what is real, genuine, and just, also a definition of Ma'at. We invoke the Ntoro and Ntoro, the deities Maa and Maat, directly for empowerment and direction. Therefore, when truth hurts, it is because of the sickle of Ma'at and Maat. It cut through, slayed the lies and the liars. Truth hurts come directly from ancient Kemet, because the sickle of Ma'at and Maat is what cuts through the criminal. It cuts through the liar. It cuts through the falsehood, literally cutting the head off of the criminal. This is why in our Khan culture you have the sepah. It is an instrument that is used for the criminal. And when they go before the tribunal and they are judged to be guilty and they have a death sentence, sometimes they will try to curse the sovereign, the queen, king, the queen mother, and so forth. So the sepal instrument is a sharp instrument that they drive through the face, the cheeks of the person, and straight through their tongue, so they don't even have the capacity to curse the king or the queen mother before their death sentence is carried out. And it's the same with the sickle of Ma'al and Ma'at, the sickle of truth, uprightness, veritability, just, and so forth. The sickle of Ma'al makes truth, Ma'al, hurt the criminal. So that goes back to our ancient culture. So when we look in our book, OBARIMA, Afurakani, Manhood, and you look in the section in the fifth principal value, and we'll put the link right here in the chat room. Look at the fifth principal value of OBARIMA, Afurakani, Manhood. And of course, our book, OBARIMA, Afurakani, Manhood, is one of our 17 books. All of the ebook versions of our 17 books we have made available as free downloads from our website. This is one of them. Of course, the Ptah SASETEM that we read from earlier is one of them as well. We also have the soft cover versions available as well. But the ebook versions of all 17 of our books are free downloads from our website. The fifth principal value of OBARIMA, Afurakani, Manhood, and the book itself, again, it's 7 principal values of Afurakani manhood. The 7 principal values are governed by the Abosom, who govern the 7 days of the week. And as we said previously, 7 days of the week are governed by the solar, lunar, and planetary bodies that move within a specific cycle every 7 days. The forces in nature that animate these solar, lunar, and planetary bodies are Wusi, Ajwa, Bena, Abena, Awuku, Akua, Yao, Ya, Aba, Afi, Ameme, which in ancient Kemet is Osar, Oset, Harubahudet, Sekhmet, Set, Nebethet, Heru, son of Osar and Oset, Wachet, Nekabet, Heru, and Amin. These 11 divinities governing these different celestial bodies and so forth, they govern all natural cycles on Earth every 7 days. They also govern the chronobiological cycle within your body called the circumception cycle, which is a 7-day cycle where your body goes through specific changes chronobiologically every 7 days. So that natural cycle is governed by these Abosom, and therefore our 7-day week is governed by that cycle. And therefore, we have a principal value associated with each one of these celestial bodies governed by these Abosom. So it's a set of 7 principal values. It's a holistic set of 7. Every day of the week, every Afurakani male has a specific principal value that's connected to the energy that governs the day, that they have the opportunity to manifest and bring forth in a harmonious fashion and correct things within themselves that will create dissidence, create discordance and disharmony so they can correct themselves. They have that opportunity every single day throughout the course of their entire lives. This is why we say to be OBARIMA and Afurakani man, in the true sense, is to recognize, internalize, and demonstrate through thought, intention, and action a specific configuration of principal values. These principal values stream from the divine and ancestral forces of manhood that define your spirit and shape your potential. So those 7 principal values are laid out in the book. Each chapter is connected to one of those principal values. When we get to chapter number 5, which you will find is, of course, connected to the 5th day of the week. The 5th day of the week is Yauda, the male name, Yada or Abada, the female name, which we talked about earlier. The female divinities are Ya and Aba, which is Wachet and Nekabet. The male divinity is Yao. Yauda is the day of Yao, Yauda or Yao Day. The divinity Yao is Heru, the son of Alsar and Aset. One of his titles in ancient Kemet is Yao, which means fighter, aggressive fighter, warrior. Yao also means to fight, confrontational, and aggressive in the Akhan language as well. The descriptive title of the deity, the same descriptive title you find in the Medusa, the hieroglyphs of Kemet, same title in the Akhan tradition. He's Usoro in Akhan. He's also called Ya. He's Horo in ancient Kemet. In Coptic, Horo, ancient dialect as well. Heru becomes Horo or Horo in Coptic. Usoro in Akhan, but he's also called Yao in Akhan. He's also called Yao or Ishao in ancient Kemet. Same name and same divinity. The 5th principal value of OBARIMA, Afurakani manhood, is insight. In the Akhan language, that's NHOMA, insight. Exercise proper insight in order to make proper judgments in life and achieve individual manhood. So we start talking about after the person has gone through those first 4 principal values of manhood, and they get to that 5th principal value. The first principal value is order. To recognize the divine order of creation, the balance of male and female, which streams from that foundational relationship of balance, which is Amenet, the great mother, and Amen, the great father. All balance in creation streams from that foundational relationship. If you don't understand the balance of Amenet and Amen and recognize that Afuraitkaitnit women are emanations of Amenet, Afurakani men are emanations of Amen, and together we balance one another out. There was never a time when there was just Amen. There was never a time when there was just Amenet. There has always been Amenet and Amen in balance. And this is why it takes a male and a female, Afurakani, male and female, to fuse together 2 halves of a whole to create and bring forth a child. It comes from that balanced relationship. We understand that balance, that order of creation is rooted in that divine balance. So that's the first principal value, to recognize the divine order of creation. Order is the first principal value of manhood. Recognize the order of creation. It's the divine balance of male and female. The second principal value is balance. To establish that balance in every aspect of your life, first you must recognize. You can't be walking around thinking there's a great God, no great goddess. You must invoke them directly and learn directly from them and know who they are. Not just reading about them, not talking about them in abstract, communicating directly with Amenet so she can communicate with you, communicating directly with Amen or Nyame. He communicates directly with us. Recognizing that order is first. Second, once you recognize that divine balance of male and female, experience that, now you establish that balance in every aspect of your life. Whether you're balancing your consumption of food and your elimination of toxins, balancing your work and recreation, balancing your expending energy and your preservation of energy, work and recreation, engaging in all kinds of activities, balancing your emotional energy, the fiery aspects of your temperament, the cool, watery aspects of your temperament, every gradient in between. You balance those out. We are not children where something goes wrong and we flip out and cry and scream and everything else. We teach our 3-year-olds to stop acting that way when they're 3 and 4 years old. So you're not a normal human being, an adult. When something goes wrong, you flip out and cry and implode and explode and everything else. You're being a silly child. That's not part of our culture. We learn from childhood into adulthood to balance the fiery, watery, and other gradients of our temperament, establishing that balance in every aspect of our existence, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and so forth. Once we have done so, the next principal value is arm. Arm yourself to defend the order and balance with your life. First, you must recognize the divine order of creation, the balance of male and female. Once you recognize it exists and you experience that, then you establish it in every aspect of your existence, every thought, intention, and action, reflecting that balance. When you make mistakes, through ancestral religion, you restore order to your existence. Once you've established it in every aspect of your life, and you've begun to engage the nation-building process, because you establish that within your own body, within your own mind, within your spirit, then you connect with other individuals who are engaged in that, establishing that balance within every aspect of their lives. That means your spouse, your children, your family, and then you connect with other families who are engaged in the same process. And when you engage with other people who are engaged in the same process of establishing balance within every thought, intention, and action, you are naturally inclined towards engaging the ancestral nation-building process, engaging in activities that are moving towards establishing an independent sovereign nation. Methods of food production and preservation, methods of curing disease, establishing a military structure, establishing institutions, establishing sound systems of governance and jurisprudence, manufacturing and building homes on acquired land, manufacturing of clothing, these 7 principal values of nation building. You're naturally inclined towards one or more of those areas because you've established balance within your spirit, your body. You know what your function is, how to execute that function. You begin in that process. You do it in a harmonious way. If you make mistakes, you restore balance. Sensible mistakes, not insane mistakes, because when you engage in insanity, you need to be taken out of the world, out of your existence. Child molesters and criminals and rapists, there's no redemption for that. They need to be executed, eradicated. If you make simple, normal mistakes, then you restore balance to your life through ancestral religious practice, the ritual incorporation of divine law, the ritual restoration of divine balance, and you continue that process. You've established balance within yourself. You connect with others who have done the same thing, and you are naturally inclined. It naturally manifests within you to move towards activities, behaviors that are supportive of those different aspects of nation building, and you move on that. Because you have begun to engage that process, then the next principal value is arm. Arm yourself to defend that order and balance with your life. Because whatever you build, when you're intelligent, you recognize, because you're making proper judgments, that anything we build, the parasite will seek to destroy. They will seek to destroy, just like they did with Black Wall Street. Our people did not understand that no matter how far away we try to separate ourselves and say, well, we'll just create our own thing here, we won't bother them, and surely they won't bother us. Anything we build, the parasite will seek to destroy. So before we even begin to build, we develop that military structure so that we are ready for the criminal, so we can execute the criminal before they get a chance to destroy what we built. So you arm yourself to defend the order and balance with your life. The next principal value is continuously. It means to respect. And of course, we put forth the proper notion coming from our Samanto that respect really means to continuously respect or review. Respect, the spectators to view. So respect means to respect or review. Review every thought, intention, and action, and harmonize each with divine order. We have a 7-part decision-making process that allows us to arrive at sound decisions rooted in an ancestral order, the same 7 energetic complexes that govern the 7 days of the week, govern our holistic 7-stage decision-making process, which we have taught to children as well as adults within a 20-minute session, and they get that immediately and they never forget that 7-stage decision-making process rooted in ancestral order of our culture. You constantly respect or review every thought, intention, and action, and align each with divine order. Harmonize each with divine order throughout the course of your life. That's what separates children from adults, the manner in which we arrive at decisions. And we're constantly, consistently respecting or reviewing every thought, every intention, every action to harmonize each with divine order. Whereas children or adults who operate as children, they just do whatever feels good, however they're conditioned. An adult, Afurakani OBARIMA, Afurakani man, and Afuraitkaitnit Afuraitkaitnit woman, Oba, we analyze every thought, intention, and action. Continuously respect your thoughts or review your thoughts, your intentions and actions, and harmonize each with divine order, or else you don't engage in them. going back to that Maa and Maat, that judgment, incorporating order and rejecting disorder. Once you can do that on a consistent basis, then you can engage in insight. That's the fifth principal value. Exercise proper insight in order to make proper judgments in life and achieve individual manhood. And of course, that same principle applies with Afuraitkaitnit women exercising proper insight in order to make proper judgments in life to achieve individual manhood or womanhood. Now, the Afurakani, as we say, OBARIMA, man is thus one who exercises proper insight in order to make proper judgments in life. The Afurakani male then crosses the threshold of OBARIMA when he recognizes that exercising proper insight allows him to participate in the process of setting the precedent for overcoming new obstacles and bringing resolution to those problems which have been left unanswered. One may contract a disease and use his knowledge and awareness to reestablish balance or health to his body. He draws on the knowledge he has gained and the precedents that have been set to effect the cure. He may cure others as well with the time-tested method. However, one may move into a new environment and come into contact with toxins that have never been encountered before. There is no precedent set for establishing a cure for the new disease patterns that develop. The Afurakani OBARIMA man must be able to confront the new challenge and overcome it. He must exercise proper insight in order to make proper judgment. This means that in order to be OBARIMA, the Afurakani man, he must invoke his intuition, his insight, which is rooted in his Akra, his soul, his divine consciousness. And the Afurakani male invokes his NHOMA, his insight, the Ani, the I of his Akra, his Ka, his Ori Inu, his Selido, his soul, his divine consciousness, the deity dwelling in the head region. He recognizes the manner in which he must apply his intelligence gathering process to confront and overcome new challenges that will confront him and his people. He must also invoke NHOMA, his insight, in order to resolve problems that have been left unresolved in our Oman, our nation, those problems that have kept us stagnant, ill, self-destructive, and dependent. The invocation of NHOMA or insight is an act of independence, of maturity, for it establishes for the Afurakani male the reality that his consciousness is directly connected to the divine consciousness of Aminet and Amen, or Nyamewa Nyame. This means that there is no problem that cannot be solved. There is no obstacle that cannot be overcome. As Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut, we have the capacity to see the consequences of misguided ideas and change course. Number one, before we create a major problem or exacerbate an existing one. Or number two, and after we have found ourselves in a negative situation and are seeking a way out. NHOMA or insight gives the Afurakani OBARIMA male as well as the Afuraitkaitnut Oba female the capacity to rescue himself before something negative has a chance to take shape, but also to resolve issues that were left unresolved. That is our responsibility as Afurakani males as well as Afuraitkaitnut females, to anticipate what could possibly take shape and avoid negative consequences through insight, but if things have already taken place in a negative fashion, how to overcome those obstacles and resolve previous issues that have been unresolved, whether it is through bringing balance to a situation or eradicating the individuals or entities who have brought the disorder so you can move forward without that criminality within the community. Either way is perfectly fine and in harmony with divine order. So on the broadcast, there are only 3 minutes left on the broadcast as far as listening on the internet. If you'd like to listen to the broadcast beyond 11:30, you must call in on the phone line, 657-333-0635, because at 11:30 it automatically cuts off online, but the people who are on the phone will still be able to hear. We really won't have to go beyond 11:30. So the phone number is 657-383-0635, 657-383-0635. And you have about 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go. For the people who came in a little bit later, we mentioned earlier on that coming up March 19th, we are having our AKYISAN Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit, African Ancestral Religious Reversion Conference here in Washington, D.C. We don't engage in conversion. That means transforming somebody into something. Reversion meaning turning back or returning back to our pristine essence, our pristine culture that is born of the blood circles of our people that we carry with us into the womb, that we are born into the world with. But we're talking about an authentic expression of our ancestral religious practices born of our blood circles. We're not dependent on anybody outside of our own direct ancestral blood circles for our ancestral religious traditions. So we're having an ancestral religious reversion conference at AKYISAN here in Washington, D.C., March 19th. Free, open to Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people only, of course. We have about 7 presenters, all-day conference. We will have our Egua marketplace, vendors selling products, as well as their services and so forth, and promoting their organizations that are serving the community in a positive capacity. Go to the AKYISAN page on our website. You'll see the information. Continue to visit that page as we update the speakers list. We have about 4 there. We will add the others very soon. If you would like to vend, the vendor registration application is there. If you would like to place an ad in the journal, we will be publishing a book, the AKYISAN book for that conference. We'll give away a free copy of that book to everyone who comes to the event, just as we do at all of our events. Every time we speak in different places, we give away a free copy of one of our 17 books out. We've given away now close to 700 free books everywhere we've gone. We've been recently in Montgomery, Alabama. We were in D.C., of course, in Philadelphia, in Hartford, Connecticut, in just outside Rochester, New York, in North Carolina. Different places we have been speaking over the past couple of months. Every place we have gone, we've given away a free copy of one of our books to everyone who has come out. And, of course, we do not charge an admissions fee when we speak at any time. People come to the event. It's always a free event, and they also receive a free book as part of that process. And that's how we do it. So continue to check the site because we're going to give away a free copy of the AKYISAN book. We're going to publish that and give it away free to everyone who comes out. So if you'd like to place an ad in that publication, you'll see that on the page as well. So we have a couple of calls on the phone line. We'll take a couple of calls. Okay, Ichiawo on the phone line, number 2047. You got a question or a comment?
Yes, I have a question. My question is, I came in, I called in the show 11:45, so I didn't hear the beginning. You were speaking about divine order.
Right.
Well, this here is personal, and it would be helpful when I speak to other people as well. When there's disorder or something that's that don't sit well with me, I get very, very, very angry. And some people refer to that. Some people feel that that's disorder. And so with me, I was given the name Set Met My Aunt. And the person, carefully, I don't know what he did and everything, but after learning them and knowing them, it was like my other half. You know what I mean when I say that? It still is. It's like a deep connection, and it was like, especially reading about SECMET, it was like meeting myself all over again. So my behaviors are quite identical. So sometimes, I was this way before I was introduced to the knowledge of our culture. And so is it out of order when I get so angry about the disorder? is it a certain way? I mean, because, you know, I get even so-called conscious folks telling me that I need to get my anger under control and things like that, but it's never about something that's it's usually about the things that happen to our people that I get upset about. But the very ones that you would think overstand, to me, I think that I don't know. What do you think about that?
Okay. No, I understand. So, and we have just so you know, we published an article as well as a couple of videos going into detail about that. The female Abosom deity Abena, the Akhan tradition, also called Sechima, that is Sechima, Sekhmet in ancient Kemet. So we get some detailed information about her. And when you check that out, you'll see even some more details that you may not have gotten from some of the information that's like published online and stuff like that about Sekhmet. Certain things they don't know because, of course, these crackers don't deal with the dead. So they wouldn't know who's, you know, they only know some basic information. But number one, Sechima, Sekhmet, in the great divine body of the Supreme Being, like the Supreme Being is Amenet and Amen, or Nyamewa Nyame, just like you're a being and you have smaller beings within you, which are your organs and organ systems, and they regulate everything that happens in the body. The organs within the great divine body of Amenet and Amen are the dead. That means Sekhmet and Alsar and Alset and Heru and so forth. They are the organs within the body of the Supreme Being, and they regulate order within creation. And they have children, which are the cells. So just like your organs and organ systems have cells, the cells are the children of the organs and the organ systems, and then the organs are the children of the great body. And it's the same fashion. The system, the lymphatic system, which is a military structure within the great divine body, that is the domain of Sechima Sekhmet. Your lymphatic system within your body is the physical shrine of Sekhmet within the body. So that system sends out those cells, those white blood cells and so forth, to kill and destroy disordered criminal cells. The fiery energy. Fire is not crippling. Fire is not evil. Fire is not out of harmony with order. If somebody said your lymphatic system,
because I get that angry, and they tell me that you know, out of order, you know, and it's not, and you know, it's you know, the ones in the head wrapped in deep meditation that don't, you know, that try to I don't know if I'm correct or not, but I sometimes think that they want to balance so badly till they, you know, it's like they balance themselves into non-existence, you know. And I don't know if I'm wrong for feeling that way. That's why I asked you that question. Should I be that way? But I really, it really does something to me every time something is not right. And when I was listening to you, you mentioned about things that were being, like some things that were being repelled in certain people with certain behaviors.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say, what you have, when we talk about divine order, and the problem is what our people have done, just like with the fake religions, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hebrewism, all that nonsense, some of our people have simply embraced that same misinformation, recast it as ancient Kemetic or ancient spiritualism, and they're teaching the same false doctrine under the guise of ancestral culture and African spirituality, and they're still teaching misinformation and recasting it as real. So they don't understand that divine order is composed of divine law or love and divine hate. Hate is a deity. Sekhmet is the female deity of divine hate. The word hate is part of one of her titles. Heruba Behudet is the male divinity of divine hate, and hate is one of his titles. So in our book, Maat and Judgment, Divine Law and Divine Hate, we prove that etymologically and culturally. So fire in and of itself is not, if somebody said, hey, you need to get rid of your immune system, or if your other cells in your body was telling the immune system, hey, why are you always looking for cancer cells to kill them? you're being too emotional, you need to calm down, then your body will collapse because your immune system is not really work. So that's insane. A lot of our people are brainwashed. They follow the white neural spring. White neural spring want us to be docile and weak so that we won't defend ourselves, so they put that in their fake doctrine. Now, there is a difference between regular fire that you use to, burn up impurities, but you can also, fire can burn up your house. So you want to direct your fire properly. You want to utilize it so it can hit the target and it doesn't become implosive. It's really explosive. The difference between an explosive fire and an implosive fire is when you there's a difference between being fired up and being frustrated. Frustrated is holding something in. Sometimes you're having expectations of people that they're not living up to, and then you become, frustrated, but you shouldn't be giving those expectations because they don't deserve that level of expectation in the first place. Like some of our people get frustrated with, for example, some other people may get frustrated because white people are not treating them a certain way and they get upset because why are they treated? If you're intelligent, you recognize that these are parasites, these are cancer cells. They're supposed to act the way they're acting, so you have no desire whatsoever for them to change any of their behavior. You don't care about how they think and feel about us. You only seek to eradicate the parasites. You don't seek to change them. You don't care nothing about how they feel. You just want to remove them. So it doesn't frustrate you at all. You look forward to eradicating the criminal. You look forward to that. That's freeing. That's liberating. So in the same fashion, you don't want to put expectations on somebody who's like a clown or self-destructive or whatever. When they don't live up to a honorable expectation, you become frustrated and implosive. They don't deserve that level of expectation. That's when you use insight, you see individuals for exactly who they are and how they have been conditioned, and you expect them to operate in a specific manner. Then you defend yourself and your people accordingly, but you're not concerned about how they got to the position of being conditioned and then become frustrated because they're not operating the way they should be operating. You defend yourself, defend your people, keep moving forward in a positive fashion, and then you develop the kind of energy that becomes repulsive, where they can't even get close to you because they're repelled by the kind of energy you're generating, as opposed to you, being frustrated. You don't want to get frustrated. Your fire should be explosive and purifying and, eradicating, as opposed to being impulsive and coming back upon you.
Okay.
But check out our Modern Chi, Divine Law, Divine Hate, and then we have a couple of articles on Abinan Sekhmet going into detail about all of that, including the way it manifests in personality and the different things that are done to cultivate that fire energy in a harmonious fashion.
That's what I need, because I love real hard. I love African people. I love us to the point where it's unreal, and I'm in it, but everybody is not thinking the way I think, and they're not their motives are not the same as mine. So it does it and you're right. I do get those type of thoughts, but I have to control certain thoughts that I get when one of us is harmed or going through something, because they're the way this life is set up. So I just look forward to that day, and it's going to happen.
Oh, definitely. But just think about it in terms of your lymphatic system cells, immune system cells. They're going to do their job. They're going to eradicate cancer cells that show up from the outside. They're going to destroy toxic cells that develop from the inside. But even when they see cells developing in the inside into a discordant way, they don't get frustrated with the cells. When it's time for them to take them out, they just take them out because that's their job. Now, they can give some information or transmit some signals that help some reparation take place before that happens. But if you get to the point where you're beyond that and become a cancer cell, then the lymphatic cells look forward to taking them out. So they're not mad at all. They're happy to take them out.
Okay. Ashe. Ashe.
Okay.
That was very, very helpful. It kind of clarified some things, and I learned something as well. And I'll be checking that site out.
Okay. Made off that. We appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you, brother.
All right. That's it. Okay. So we have another call on the phone line. Chiawo number 9384. You got a question or a comment?
Yeah, Machia Wo no Kwesi. I'm glad you were talking about Nyame wa Nyame and Sheshe. When it comes to divine order, to be in alignment with divine order, basically, one must be executing their function, whatever their function is, according to the day that they were born, the day they were born, and so forth. So, my question is, all right, reversion, I think, for those of us who aren't necessarily in a position to be told who we are or shown who we are or to be around the culture, reversion, self-reversion, I think is the key to aligning oneself with divine order. Now, reversion, basically, how I'm experiencing it is that it comes directly from your NHOMA and Samanfo, am I correct? It comes from basically mature and spiritually cultivated ancestors and ancestors. Now, the thing is what I'm noticing what's going on with me is I'm seeing, I can hear them. It's almost like how we're talking, like voices. Like they talk to me, I can hear them and they tell me certain things, and then they may have a talk with me, and then I'll go to sleep and I'll dream certain things. But sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I become kind of timid. You sure I should do that? You know what I mean? It's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. It feels right. For instance, they show me how to abstract certain things out of herbs, and a woman, for whatever reason, I don't even publicize myself or anything like that, but some woman had called me and wanted me to perform a cleansing. I didn't necessarily know, how to go about it, but when I needed them to, they showed me exactly what to do. Okay, and now, even though all of this is going on, it's I still have that other part of my life, I got to get back to the real world, and you know what I mean, make sure, the food is on the table, bills are getting paid, and what have you. But it seemed like every time I come too far out of or go too long without doing any spiritual work, it's things or just doing what I'm being shown, it's things in my life will begin to go wrong. But what I'm saying is that all of this, that I'm being shown, it doesn't necessarily, I'm not exposed enough. It doesn't put, it will not pay my bills all alone, flat out. It just won't. Capitalism is kicking my ass. You know what I mean? So, I understand what the spiritual, so how do I communicate with them to let them know, look, because I don't know if is it something else that I'm doing that I'm not supposed to be doing. I'm not even doing anything, you know what I mean? Besides, I'm not saying I'm the perfect person or I'm just absolutely purified. I have more work to do and more to learn just like everybody else. But what should I do?
Well, now, first, the first part when you said, you'll get these, they'll show you specific things, and sometimes you might be timid because you're not sure, but then, like the sister said, can you do a cleansing and so forth? Now, number one, there's nothing wrong with having the immediate response of being somewhat timid at first because it's, it's the first time you heard something like that. Since you've never done it, you don't know if it's going to work per se, but when you start building that track record, you go ahead and do what they told you to do, and then the timidity begins to dissipate because every time you have that experience, they show you what you need to do, then you physically do what they told you spiritually. It comes from the spiritual to the physical, and then it's confirmed. Then you have that in your, in your arsenal. And it keeps happening on a regular basis to the point where you develop that confidence that I know every time they tell me to do something, it is true because I have a track record of actually confirming physically what they've told me spiritually. They never just give you something spiritual and it just stays that way. It always will be proven in the physical, and you can always ask them. It's not like people would think, sometimes they project these things on our culture coming from Christianity, like, well, you can't question, quote unquote, the God or something like that. You can always ask, well, can you show me or direct me to evidence or proof of what you're telling me? They're glad to do that. They're always going to do that because they want you to be firm and grounded and sure in everything that you're doing. Always bring it from the spiritual to the physical, the as above, so below type thing. They're really always doing that. So it's nothing wrong with having that timidity at first. That's what happens with anything. Anybody who gets involved, the first time they receive some direct communication, they're like, wait a minute, is this true? Am I making it up? But then when you actually do it, and it's real and it works out and it's proven in different ways, then, it works out. And it's no rush. It's not like, you only got 2 years before you graduate and you got to get all this done. I mean, it's, they're on their own schedule. So it's not like you have to, it's not a rush. It unfolds according to the way they lay it out, the way they orchestrate these events. So.
And that's exactly what it seems like happening. Now, okay, one more question. Now, okay, I was wondering.
But I want to address the other point you made. Like you were saying, so that you have that experience, and so you were right on point with that. So the second part, you were saying that if you get away from spiritual work, then things seem to be, they kind of start falling apart a little bit until you get back to it.
Yeah.
And once again, that's natural. It's just like it's no different than it is physically. If you start eating well and start working out on a regular basis, and then and you do that for like 6 months in a row or something, like 6 days a week, you're working out, but then you take off 3 months, and then you try to go back, things start deteriorating until you get back in flow with that normal pattern. And it's the same thing. However, you said that you kind of pulled away because you're trying to integrate dealing with the spiritual and living in the physical world. Now, there is an intersection between the two. When people start to, when you get involved and you start listening to your Unsamafo being directed and developing that confidence because you're following what they say, doing these things physically, it's proven physically, you have the physical evidence, you're stacking up all this evidence, so to speak, then they start moving you towards behaviors and sets of activity, even occupational and even eventually entrepreneurial, that reflect the energy that governs you. So some people will be naturally moved into some kind of entrepreneurial endeavor that's dealing with engineering if they're connected with the divinity that governs that, or agriculture if they're connected with the divinity that governs that, or healing if they're connected with the divinity that governs that. And then it'll move you into a position, or they'll put you in the kind of position where you can connect with the kind of people you need to connect with, where you can execute your function and, take care of your bills at the same time because you're serving the community in a positive capacity based on the function that you were born into the world to execute. So that often happens as well. People are moved into those positions, just staying with, what the direction that your cry really is leading you to, and your Unsamafo are assisting you with.
Okay. All right. That's good information, good help. Now, my last question was that now I like specifics. I don't, I know I can't know everything at once, and like you said, everything unfolds on its own time. But it's like, because everybody is acting like they don't know what's going on, like there's emphasis on direct blood circle, okay? So we're talking about the Ka, Ne, Mokba, your soul and blood. Now, I even like I talk to the ancestors and ancestresses and whatnot, which are my relatives. Like I know they're my. Now it's kind of like some confusion on my part, in regards to like what I've been told and how I feel. You know what I mean? And but not what I've been told by my spirits, because what I'm being told by my spirits is different from what I'm being told by man. But I thought that it was spirits speaking through the men and women who told me, but the spirits themselves are telling me something different. So now, like, because my first experience is like when talking to them, they told me I was from a specific people. But then later on, like I had just stepped away from my shrine, and like I said, like my clairaudience, like it was still activated, like I can still hear the voices coming through. And so as I'm away from my shrine, they had said a particular country. Okay, now that country, those people don't inhabit that country. Another people do. Another clan. Okay, now and I don't want to sound crazy, but sometimes I'll even hear your voice. And now I know I don't be tripping, right? You know what I mean? Like voice recognition, I'm very good with that, and I know your voice. And but even like years ago, I used to hear my voice. You know what I mean? So now your voice, specifically, like when I was going through this whole like revelation type thing, your voice, like your very words were, go to Yoruba. But then, like after, I had heard that, I had went again to the temple of Anyame, and it was like, they're infected in there. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like comfortable, even though they practice the the Yoruban tradition and whatnot. It's just I don't feel like I should be there. Now there's things that I've went there and learned, and like okay, for instance, I had went the other day and I invited a friend to come, and this is how they work. Like, the only reason I had brought the money I had brought because I thought, that the friend was going to come and then, we were going to leave, and, I was going to treat, okay? But now the money I had, you understand, it was just enough to purchase an item there that I needed. Okay, now the item that I purchased has nothing really to do with how I feel, what's going on in it. But it is in alignment with the stuff that I study now, you understand, and the practice that I'm engaged in.
Right. I understand. So now,
what is that? So I need help.
Go ahead.
I need help. I need you to help me.
No, so it's number one is just like, for example, when just like if you are since you're more clairaudient, meaning for the people listening, clairaudience talking about hearing beyond the physical, just like people can clairvoyant, they can see spirits walking around, some people can hear, so clairaudience is dealing with that. Just like you can, when you have a dream, most people are not very clairaudient and most very clairvoyant unless they really work on it, because sometimes we suppress these things, we've been taught to suppress them. But when we dream, then it opens up a little bit and we can see, of course, when we're dreaming, and we can hear everything else. But then when people who are a little bit more clairvoyant and clairaudient, they can have those experiences without dreaming. So just like you can think about, the average person can think about something that somebody said, if you're more clairaudient, you don't only think about what somebody said, you will recall their voice because you're clairaudient. So you can hear what I said or somebody else said as well. And it's recalling some certain things, recalling certain specific points. But whereas somebody else is just a thought or a memory, yours is, you can hear it because you're clairaudient. It doesn't mean I showed up at the shrine and said that while you were sitting at the shrine. That's what I'm saying. So,
right.
And other people
I know
it's not like I was actually projecting. And other people, just so other people know, sometimes, you will hear from some, or you'll hear a familiar voice and things like that. You're recalling, but your memory is just more intense to the point that you can hear your memory as opposed to other people can just, they just remember it as a thought or, and so forth. So that can happen with people you have dreamed about, seen on television. It's like you can be listening to, you can fall asleep with the television on and then have a dream about the characters on television and you're interacting with them, in the dream. And then you wake up and realize it was because the television was on that you're interacting with them, having a conversation with them, but their energy seeps into your spirit while you were falling asleep, and then you constructed that dynamic. The same thing can happen awake when people are clairvoyant, clairaudient, and so forth. So that's one thing. But yes, the key is no matter what anybody outside of your blood circle says, doesn't matter if they're initiated or been in the cult, none of that means anything. What does your people say? And what does your own cry say? If what anybody outside of your blood circle doesn't comport with what your own cry says, then you listen to your cry, because they may or may not just, sometimes people get garbled messages, or they may be conditioned in a certain way, or they've been doing things for a certain way. You don't know what their issue is, but you going by what your people have said. And people, when they're really clairvoyant, clairaudient, and so forth, it will comport with what your own people have said. And again, you can ask, when you are wondering whether or not, did I hear this correctly? Did I see this correctly? You can always ask your Intimafo, and they're going to prove it and confirm it in many different ways. So it's no rush.
Right.
Like, if it don't happen tomorrow, then you're going to have to go with the other cat. It's not like that. So you can, they will confirm it for you.
See, my whole thing is, like, I mean, it's happening. You know what I mean? Like, ever since they don't even let me get too far away from that specific culture, like, at all. You know what I mean? Because it's like I thought I was just going through, I was just, coming through, sliding through, But now it's like anywhere that I end up, like, that is what's there, that is what awaits me. But I don't want to, keep you too long, you know what I mean? But thank you for your assistance, though, and advice. Yet I say, it's it.
Oh, no, I say that. Appreciate the call. Okay. All right. So we so that was the last call, and it's almost 12 o'clock. So Yedase, we thank you for tuning in to the broadcast. We'll be back on tomorrow for Ojira. Go to the website, check out the AKYISAN page. You can also go to our NHOMA page, our publications page. As we said earlier, we published 17 books. The ebook versions are free, but then you also have softcover versions we print on our own printers in-house and in color. So if you would like to, purchase those books, they range between $8 and $11. We also have discounts. For example, the first 5 books is a 20% discount. The first 5 books, which are foundational, $40 for the first 5. Then we have a 30% discount for 10 books or more, like the first 10 books are $66 for the first 10 of our books. And then we have the same 30% discount for 11, 12, 13, all the way through the 17-book set. But whether you purchase one book or multiple, they range from $8 to $11, but multiple books are 20 or 30% off. So that is a way you can support the work we're doing and so forth. And we have all that information on the website, the NHOMA page on the website. We have one more call we'll take right quick, and then we'll be okay. Michelle on the phone line, number 7871. You got a question or a comment?
Yeah, greetings, Brother Kwesi. I'm calling as a newcomer. I was just got on your pages over the weekend, and just making some comments here. Your information, of course, is very powerful. I've spent a long time dealing with ancestral tradition, but not in a form of organization, and what it's called the blind Haru, I guess.
Okay.
Realizing, again, brother, your information. I mean, you look like you're over 30 years old, and you guys, you really pack a lot of knowledge that our people really need, me especially. Comment on the sister that came on first. I think, as you point out to her, it's ultimately her decision when it comes down, to making those. If someone doesn't agree with her actions, it shouldn't matter to the extent where when she used the faculties that she possesses, then she's made the right decision. It's up to her. That's so I was just wanted to comment on. But for myself, just listening over the weekend, your Ma'aharu, the 6-part series, that was very powerful for me because I've lived that type of life, particularly the lone wolf. I think you broadcast about a month ago, which I just saw this weekend.
Actually, that was last year around this time. But yeah, I know. Okay. Yeah, put that out.
Okay. Okay, that really awakened me to the disposition, basically, that black men like myself have been going through, not always doing right, but never getting anything back in return. We find ourselves in these positions all across this country, especially. And now at the conditions that we're in now at this point in time, it is, the most important thing to do is to be loyal to what we've been standing for. Although we're not basically given any respect or anything, within the society, just as black men and women. But why we can't expound on that is because we don't know our blood. We don't know who we are. We just do good thing, or we just try to do the right thing. So it's very painful, trying to always, try to do good or do better and never really getting anything out of it. But now to find out, it's very relieving. I want to just, let you know that. That I wanted to know, where do you start learning about the Akhan religion, the Hoodoo tradition? Then on Wednesday night, I want to know, can I pronounce or announce my business plan as much as having a business already started? Do you also talk about people who are starting a business or perspective?
Yes. So send us you're on Facebook, right?
Yeah, I'm at your .ning page now. I'm filling out the application and sending it to you.
Okay.
You're asking me for my Facebook page here. So yeah, I'm filling out all the application now. So is that all that's needed? Because I know you have a series of books. You got a lot of information. The language. If I could immediately, or if I could also the language. The words, of course, are very long, which I'm accustomed to, but not, practically. But, I understand now why our names are so long, because it gives the meaning to the focus and understanding that how deep and concerned we should be when we announce each other. So that, it's just a learning experience over this weekend also.
Right. But yeah, whether it's through the Ning site or on Facebook, you can send us an email. Link your website. You have a website for the business, or?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I need to work on it. But yeah, I will have that. I can send you that also. And I really intend on making a contribution here on the Wednesday night page. But on this page tonight is just, again, my niece and myself. She's across town, and we promised we would hook up here with you tonight. And we basically are coming from the same place. We've always been trying to, deal with these issues using other people's methods and stuff, other brothers and sisters, which, clearly, if you don't go to the right source, you just don't get the right return. So we're,
Absolutely.
I just want to commend you, on the work, just looking forward to participating. And
no, I appreciate it. Now, you asked a question about first, send us an email, whether it's on Facebook or send us your the web address for the business. You asked about where to start, and of course,
yes.
when you talk about getting the information from the right source, of course, the source is always your direct blood ancestresses and ancestors are spiritually cultivated amongst your people, whether you know their names or not. They're still connected to your blood circle. They still are assigned to you to guide you. So that's the source. And any information that comports with that source, then you will resonate with it, and you'll say, oh, this feels right, and I can see, because you know it's real. They've been directing you towards that all along. So they are really the source. All we can do is just corroborate what they've been given. So what we would say is we always recommend people, if you go to the FAKU page on our website, which is the study group page, you can need to go there, or even just go to the publications page, because the way we list the publications, we list them in order from the beginning, starting with the Kukutuntum, the ancestral jurisdiction. So we always people begin with that. So that's the first book on the publications page, and the way we list them are in order of the way we recommend in a curriculum type format. So it starts from there. So you see those in place. And then we also have you'll see that on the website as well. We have a link that says Feku Nanasom Study Group. And we even list out the different links in order in a curriculum format, starting with the Kukutuntum, the ancestral jurisdiction, and going, step by step. So that's so that's the way we do that.
I know I saw the page, and therefore that's then the initiation, because the work needs to be done with myself and a few folks like this are very interested. So we'll be checking you out. We really appreciate you once again, brother. And